This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for joining us. I'm Chris Ensing. Our top stories. Frustration at the crosswalk, the story behind this picture, and the push for safety in school zones. The provincial government is playing a bigger role in the public school board's budget process. Dawson Chen explains why and how. Plus, a food bank with decades of helping people out in Windsor puts out a call for help themselves. Dale Molnar with a community response some call miraculous. The largest school board in our area has been issued a stern warning: balance the budget or else. As Dawson Chen explains, it means eliminating a more than $6 million deficit.
2 years to attain a balanced budget. That's the demand Ontario's Ministry of Education has put upon the Greater Essex County District School Board after the board submitted a current budget with a $6.4 million deficit. Last night, the board heard from its superintendent of business that one of the conditions from the province is the board must file a multi-year financial recovery plan. That plan, which must be filed no later than November 30th, requires a balanced budget by the 2026 to 2027 financial year. In that time, the board must also achieve an accumulated surplus of at least 2% of its operating allocation. That's estimated at $9 million by the end of the next school year. To meet these requirements, the superintendent of business warns that savings must be found.
The ministry has made it very clear to administration that the board's deficit is structural in nature and that it must adjust its cost structures and work within the current funding framework. Further cost reductions to achieve a balanced budget will be required, and we will have to examine staffing and student programming as part of that process.
Armstrong expects administration will be presenting to the board a draft of the financial recovery plan on November 5th. Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
This is substitute school crossing guard Dawn Hazel, and there's a few things that she'd like to say to that driver, but she's self-censoring.
Well, you can't put that on camera. You can't put that on camera, what I'd like to say to the people, but they're, just pay more attention.
Watch this video here, taken right before hundreds of kids were let out in LaSalle this afternoon. Hazel walks in with her high-vis safety vest on. There's the big stop sign and a bright pylon already placed on the road. A woman with a stroller passes her by, and before she can turn back to her post, an oncoming driver rolls through the crosswalk.
People are silly. People don't have any brain some days. I don't understand it.
I'm Chris Ensing. I was out here for a story about school safety with police when I saw firsthand how dangerous driving plays out inside of a school zone. A 2-week traffic blitz by police in school zones saw 140 enforcement actions. Tickets for drivers disobeying stop signs, using their phone while driving, and failing to stop for a school bus.
It's all about getting our kids to school safely. It's about being cautious and looking out for our crossing guards that are trying to help us and help our children.
Police say they want to track this driver down. They broke the law. Drivers need to wait for everyone, including the crossing guard, to clear the area before driving forward. Officers also want people to stop parking in no parking zones. Hazel says it makes her job dangerous.
Well, the parents park along the street here where they're not supposed to park. And then I have to walk into the street past the vehicles to see whether any cars are coming.
But it's not just drivers. One of the key things police want people to focus on is using the properly marked crossings.
And we're just trying to have people use the identified crosswalk with crossing guard, which is just down the way, 30 seconds rather than crossing at the intersection in between moving motor vehicles.
Bye-bye. Bye.
And the drivers of those vehicles, Hazel says, have to start paying attention before something terrible happens.
It's the kids' safety. I just don't get it.
LaSalle's police said that if you're running late and in a hurry, it's better just to be late. A 25-year-old pedestrian is in intensive care after being struck by a vehicle late Tuesday night. It happened around 11 p.m. This was at the intersection of Dougal Avenue and Roseland Drive. The driver did remain at the scene after the incident. Windsor police are investigating. They're also looking for witnesses. We have an uplifting story to tell you about now. 2 months ago, we told you about a food bank whose forklift broke down. Well, a good Samaritan has come to the rescue. Dale Molnar with the story.
In mid-July, the 17-year-old forklift at the Windsor Lifeline Outreach Food Bank at Windsor Christian Fellowship broke down. One of the engines stopped working and it needed about $15,000 to $20,000 worth of repairs.
The Good Samaritan started with you guys. You guys came out and did a story that about the broken forklift in order to help us get it out to the community. We had a couple of companies reach out to us. Some were going to come out and do a repair notice, see what was wrong with it. Another company was going to lend us a forklift in the meantime. But it was Lift Tow that came through. They picked up our forklift, took it for about 2.5 weeks, and they basically rebuilt it from the tires up. Got brand new wheels. They even matched the paint to the original paint on the machine, right down to stitching on the seat, everything, the hydraulic lines, the cables, the chains. The list was too numerous to name off, and they all foot the bill for it. This seat we had bought secondhand from another company because our seat was all ripped and torn because it was so old. And they installed it wrong, apparently. Lifto came, took the seat apart, rebuilt it, reupholstered it, set it back into place with all the safety switches, and they made it better than the other company did.
The forklift is essential to the operation so they can store and retrieve pallets of items high up. The service provides food and other essentials to about 100 to 150 people each day. Bettany says not only did Lifto fix the forklift, but the employees also donated 2 pallets of food and other items as well.
We can feed probably 50, 60 families with what they brought in.
So this is your typical lead acid battery. We have options on the newer trucks, so you can go lithium, lead acid.
The branch manager of the Lifto dealership in Essex is modest when it comes to the donation they made.
I think it was the amount of money that was needed to spend on the truck to get it back into service and to help the community out as far as, donating. So it was, we could do our part, and we like to, like I say, as we mentioned, we like to help out charities. So.
Doug Van Duby says they are also offering to continue to service the forklift in the future. For now, Bettany calls the help they got a miracle.
The city needs these stories. It absolutely does. It needs to know that there's people out there that are caring and trying to make a difference. So.
Well, the forklift now works better than ever, and Bettany says they're hoping to get another 17 years out of it. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
Good story, good Samaritan, good beard. Let's keep the good news stories rolling here. An Amherstburg student is one of 3 young people in the province to win a prestigious award. LaDonya Gale has been recognized by Ontario's Lieutenant Governor for her leadership in eliminating racial discrimination and promoting equity and inclusion. Gale took home the Lincoln Alexander Award. It's named after Canada's first Black MP, who is also our Lieutenant Governor about 35 years ago. Gale says it was her experience with racism that motivated her.
I moved to Canada at the age of 10, coming from Jamaica, a country where our motto is out of many one people. So I grew up knowing a lot of different people from different backgrounds, different races. And it wasn't really until I came to Canada where I realized, wow, I'm Black, I look different, my hair doesn't look the same, I don't eat the same foods, I interpret a lot of stuff differently. And really coming from that type of background really set me apart from everyone else. But because of that, I wanted to find a way to make sure that everybody felt included.
After speaking with our Amy Dodge this morning, at the age of 12, Gale co-founded Windsor's Black Youth Empowerment Program. It's helped hundreds of Black teens gain leadership skills. Her award also comes with a $5,000 prize. Chris Potter joins us now. I popped outside for a bit, got the sunburn on the forehead. Summer doesn't quit.
No, it doesn't quit. I think we've had 10 or 11 or 12 days in a row, Chris, with daytime highs above normal. We still have another couple to go before we actually cool off just a touch, but nothing dramatic. Normal daytime high for this time of year, Chris, is around 22 degrees, close to 27 today, and the average overnight low is closer to 11, 12. And today, early morning was 15.4. So these are the kind of temperatures to expect over the next couple of days, and we're still going to continue our run of sun. Daytime highs today, once again, around 26. Now we're basically leveling off in the mid-20s, feeling like the high 20s to the low 30s in most communities. And there's not much to point out on the satellite and radar. We have, I should say, kind of a locked area of high pressure. It extends from the American Midwest through the Great Lakes into the northeastern states. There is a system across the Mid-Atlantic states trying desperately to move back into the west, but the only thing we saw today, There's a little bit of cloud across the Golden Horseshoe and the northern shores of Lake Ontario. But southwestern Ontario remains clear. That's going to be the story through the evening if you have big or small plans. More of the same through the overnight, clear to mostly clear. And we'll hold on to mostly sunshine for tomorrow. Just some daytime cumulus developing. That's commonly known as fair weather cumulus. So it's another fair weather day to get out there and enjoy. As we get through Thursday night and into Friday, we will start to see a little bit more cloud from time to time, but that's not rain clouds. So we're going to stay dry through Friday during the daytime hours, but very quickly at night, this little area of cloud and a few showers moves on through, but it should be advancing to the east of your region. So it will be another dry day to kickstart the weekend. So in terms of the forecast, we'll start off with tonight. Generally, most areas in the mid-teens, a little bit cooler towards Sarnia. Once again, this is a bit above normal for this time of year. Mostly sunshine again for tomorrow. Humidex will make it feel anywhere from 30 to 33. So it's once again a gorgeous day to get out and enjoy. And once we get through today on Friday, temperatures will be around 28, 29. Some areas might flirt with hitting 30. It's not going to be overly humid. It's probably going to feel like the low 30s again. As we get into Saturday, once again, very early in the morning, probably in the pre-dawn hours before sunrise, a slight chance of a few passing showers. Then we get back into mostly sunshine. Sunday will start to feature increasing clouds during the course of the day with a high of 27. It's into Monday with highs near 25 that we have a good chance of showers, maybe periods of light rain. At this point, it looks like the timing might be during the early to mid-afternoon and then clearing during the evening. But of course, we're 5 days out, Chris, so that might change if you have something big or small planned for Monday.
Yeah. Give you some wiggle room there. It's nice to hear fair weather used as a word to describe something other than my Tigers fandom.
Oh, big time. Well, I'm trying to grow my beard in just like you.
Yeah,
And the other
we're getting
gentleman.
there, buddy. We're getting there.
Slowly, Chris.
That's the way to win. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thanks.
We take a live look outside there. Some more of that beauty that we have been hearing about all week. Good to see it's lasting. When we come back, a story about politicians and their pensions. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has made MP pensions political. For weeks, he's accused NDP leader Jagmeet Singh of keeping the government empowered to qualify for his pension. CBC News asked experts to calculate the value of major party leaders' pensions and learned that Poilievre's pension is estimated to be more than 3 times the size of Singh's pension. Ashley Burke has the details.
Pierre Poilievre talking about anything but his pension.
A carbon tax election needed because
preferring to stick to his narrative.
Mr. Poilievre's pension.
I'm not going to talk about anything like that.
In fact, no Conservative willing to talk after CBC News reported the estimated size of their leader's pension.
What do you think?
I'm late for a meeting, thanks.
no comment.
But it was Poilievre who made MPs' pensions an issue.
He wanted his pension.
For weeks, he accused Jagmeet Singh of propping up the Liberals just long enough to qualify for his own MP pension.
Stop being sellout Singh. Put the people ahead of your pension.
Even releasing ads to drive that claim home.
Jagmeet Singh, he gets his pension. Trudeau gets power.
His pension is like 3.5 times in present value terms as compared to that of Jagmeet Singh.
CBC asked this expert to crunch the numbers. He estimates Poilievre could make more than $230,000 annually from his pension once he turns 65. That's the same amount the Prime Minister could make at 67 when his MP pension kicks in too. And if Singh qualifies, he could make more than $66,000 a year at 65.
The main reason why Mr. Poilievre's pension would be around 3.5 times larger is because he has about 3.5 times as much service.
And that has Liberals on the attack.
What Mr. Poilievre has tried to do with Mr. Singh's pension is pretty despicable.
Mr. Poilievre is the ultimate hypocrite.
Singh is also firing back against Poilievre's claim he's putting his pension ahead of Canadians.
It's another tired old lie that Pierre Poilievre likes to say, and it's a lie that he uses to distract from the facts.
A Conservative spokesperson said that Poilievre voted to cut politicians' pensions when he was a member of Stephen Harper's government, and said that Poilievre and Singh's situations are different, claiming that unlike Singh, Poilievre has never tried to keep the government in power to qualify or grow his pension. Singh says he hasn't either. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Poilievre has also been calling on other parties to support a non-confidence vote to topple the Liberal government, but that's proving difficult. Rafi Boudjikane has more on that and about a prominent Liberal minister's plan to leave the cabinet.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre taunting other opposition parties over support for Prime Minister Trudeau's Liberals.
Why won't the NDP stand up when it counts so that we can end this costly coalition?
Adapting his message for Quebec, where the Bloc Québécois is a major player. The Bloc is going to keep the costliest and most centralizing Prime Minister in history in power, he said.
We see that the leader of the opposition enjoys his political games, enjoys chasing after his own political interests.
At issue, this Conservative motion the House will vote on next week. The House has no confidence in the Prime Minister and the government. Poilievre trying to isolate the Liberals after the NDP recently left a formal confidence and supply agreement with the government and a by-election loss for the Liberals in a traditional Liberal stronghold in Montreal.
Donc la réponse, c'est non.
The Bloc says it won't side with the Conservatives, but wants concessions from Trudeau in return. All this while the Prime Minister is also dealing with another loss. A key cabinet minister and organizer in Quebec, Pablo Rodriguez, is leaving those functions to run for leadership of that province's Liberal Party.
Obviously, he leaves a hole. He's a very important member of our cabinet and our caucus, but there is a lot of other MPs and ministers that stay behind and will keep fighting for the interests of Quebecers and Canadians.
Their fight may come sooner than they'd like. The NDP won't say how it intends to vote on the Conservatives' confidence motion. To survive, the Liberals only need the support of a single opposition party. But as of now, the next general election is just over a year away, and there is no telling how the government will manage that balancing act over the next several months. Rafi Boudjikane on CBC News, Ottawa.
We pivot to the U.S. presidential race. It's getting tight in North Carolina. This is traditionally a Republican stronghold, but now a toss-up since Kamala Harris jumped into the race for the Democrats. Katie Simpson explains how the state could play a key role in who wins the White House.
Welcome to battleground North Carolina. When it comes to the presidential race, this is expected to be one of the closest contests in the country. Just a few months ago, that wasn't the case. When it was Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, Donald Trump and the Republicans, they had an established lead. But that all changed when Joe Biden decided he wouldn't seek re-election and Kamala Harris started her campaign. The numbers started to shift. The Democrats started gaining momentum. So the big question is why? What changed? And part of the answer, at least, can be found here at the University of North Carolina in Charlotte. Younger voters appear to be more engaged. We've been speaking with volunteers who register students to vote. They say more students have been signing up, becoming more engaged, particularly young women. So we went into a political science class to sort of talk to some of the students to find out what it is that made them more engaged in this moment.
I've always been really invested in the fact that she's a woman of color and she is a woman in general is definitely a bigger switch from just men and men.
Just because of the whole thing with, Joe Biden's age and with Israel Gaza, a lot of people did not want to vote before.
I haven't seen this much voter engagement and people excited since 2012 whenever I went and saw Michelle Obama at the Greensboro Coliseum with my mom.
Have you decided who you're going to vote for this year?
I will be voting for Kamala, yeah.
Tell me why.
Frankly, it's just refreshing to have someone who is younger and frankly more coherent.
Well, the youth vote is shifting and it is important in this state and other states. One thing to remember about North Carolina is its voting history. Traditionally, Republicans have been very successful in presidential contests. The last Democrat to actually win this state was Barack Obama in 2008, and he barely won it by about 12,000 votes. Donald Trump and the Republican Party are hoping they can lean into their roots in this state, to rely on the party machinery to help overcome any momentum that Democrats and Kamala Harris think they might have in this moment. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Sticking with the states, the Federal Reserve is cutting interest rates by a sizable 0.5 percentage point. This is the first cut in over 4 years since the early days of the pandemic. The move to lower the rate was expected, but bigger than many predicted. The head of the bank, Jerome Powell, says it signals the U.S. economy is in good shape. Officials plan to closely watch how the economy responds as they eye further cuts before the end of the year. The U.S. Federal Reserve's move, it follows cuts by other central banks, including the Bank of Canada, those in Europe and the UK. Stick around, there's been some big changes to Instagram affecting teen accounts. You'll want to know how that all works out. That's next. Social media giant Meta is revamping the way Instagram works for teens. They're promising a safer experience for young users with enhanced parental controls. CBC's Lisa Shing looks at those changes and why some experts say they fall short.
Lunchtime at this Toronto high school means a chance to scroll.
Are you on Instagram? Yes, I am.
Me personally, I already have my profile set to private.
But now teens on Instagram will see some big changes.
Introducing Instagram teen accounts. Automatic protections for teens.
Now in Canada, the US, UK, and Australia, and later this year in the European Union, anyone under 18 with a new or existing account will by default have their account set to private. Teens can only receive private messages from people they follow. Sensitive content like videos of fighting or those promoting cosmetic procedures will be limited, and anyone under 16 will need a parent's permission to change their settings.
It's concerning that they think it's okay to pick and choose what teens are allowed to see.
I think they're already aware enough to know what they should and shouldn't do online.
So it won't make a difference, these new rules?
No, they won't.
16-year-olds will probably find a way to go around the system.
Meta, which owns Instagram, says anyone signing up will need to prove their age. The changes come as the company faces lawsuits from several U.S. states and some Ontario school boards. Parents like Carrie Holland welcome any extra help.
We have a rule in place that they're not allowed to have public social media. So having the extra backup of, hey guys, it's not me, it's Meta, I'm down to have an extra good cop, bad cop.
While some say it's a positive step, critics are calling out the company for putting the onus on parents to police their children.
Parents with lower rates of media literacy are going to be the ones whose children continue to be the most vulnerable.
Ottawa has introduced a bill aimed at reducing exposure to harmful online content. The U.S. has done the same, a move many say is long overdue in protecting children and holding big companies accountable. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
A gas balloon race that started in Germany is wrapped up more than 2,000 kilometers away in southern Portugal. The 67th edition of the Long Distance Championship in Europe launched on Saturday. 21 teams launching off, crowds cheering on. The aim was to travel the furthest away from where this race started. Some ended in France the next day, but there were others who were dropping off over time until a dozen were left, still floating. Look at those little dots. It was an Austrian team that won the championship yesterday after sailing more than 2,100 kilometers. My dad used to be on a chase team for balloons, and so we followed those around southern Ontario. It was always fun. That's it for CBC Windsor News. Thanks for watching. Go to cbc.ca/Windsor for more. Download that CBC News app as well. All the stories that matter most to you are found on that local page. Have a good night.